Well, let me, because I think it's about that time. So we're gonna go to break, take a quick 30. You up radio, super producer, do your thing.
I choose to reflect the times and the situations in which I find myself. That to me is my duty. And at this crucial time in our lives, when everything is so desperate, when every day is a matter of survival, I don't think you can help but be involved. Young people, black and white, know this. We will shape and mold this country, or it will not be molded and shaped at all anymore. So I don't think you have a choice. How can you be an artist and not reflect the times?
Yeah. Yeah. What happens when I look around? All I see is death and despair. Mass killings, hashtag you in our thoughts and our prayers.
Okay, back on You Up Radio. Real brief, I'm gonna interject something because I saw some news last night, and I don't know how much the crew was able to follow it, or early this morning, about the situation between Cardi B and Nicki Minaj, and apparently after a fashion show, and I remember seeing what's Cardi B husband name? Offset. I'm sorry. Offset. Shout out to Offset. He was wearing some gear. He was modeling it. But apparently after this fashion show or whatever, they got into it over some comments, and we know they had some beef, and I don't know how legitimate I thought it was until after this situation. So I'm gonna swing it to the lady of the house and ask her, what's going on with your girls? You up, Doc?
Wait a minute. So just because I'm the lady of the house, you think I always have to be in gossip and these entertainment blogs? I'm getting a feeling.
I'm trying to let you come to the defense of the ladies, because I want you to break it down. I want you to break it down. Look, I'm the one brought the topic up, so I'm the lead gossip if you want to say that. But I just
Well, I just really don't appreciate you coming at me, but I don't know. Honestly, by you bringing it up was the first time I heard it. So I hadn't looked on the blogs or I don't know the all the information behind it. But as soon as I get a chance to, I'm gonna look at it. So how about that? That's your answer. Because I don't know.
Thank you. I'm just you don't stop it.
I'm just saying.
I know. Brother McKee. Well, we got a special guest, so I'm gonna swing it to Brother McKee. We got a special guest that's coming on, and Brother McKee, somebody you've done some things with and worked with. So I'm gonna swing it to you, brother, to introduce our next guest up.
Well, thank you for swinging it to me, and I like it like that. How about that? Yeah. As you know, You Up Radio, You Up Talk Radio is worldwide, and we're blessed and fortunate today to have a world-renowned guest. Today we have Mr. Andrew Parks Carter, who is a WTO and ATP professional tennis player himself, and he's also distinguished himself to be in the University of Louisville Hall of Fame because his team at the University of Louisville, Go Cards, Kentucky's in the building, made it further than any team that ever played tennis at that fine university. So let's go without further ado. And we wanted to bring you on to talk about the impact and the significance of the U.S. Open. And then we'll get into the Serena sisters and their historic run later. Talk about the impact and the importance of the U.S. Open and what certain communities that are not into tennis might be missing from your perspective.
Hey, I just want to say thank you all for having me. It's an honor to be here. And the U.S. Open is one of the in the tennis world. It's one of the 4 Grand Slams. So it's similar to golf. It's one of our 4 pinnacle events, as you might say. And then within that, you're going to have the U.S. Open, which I feel, with my experience, is the best because you've got the bright lights in the big city of New York City. compared to Wimbledon, compared to the French Open, and compared to the Australian Open, which you have those are the other Grand Slams. But there's no atmosphere like the bright lights and big city of New York City, primetime tennis of the U.S. Open. So I think also one of the big things about having the U.S. Open in New York City is New York City is a melting pot. So you have different cultures, you have different ethnicities, you've got all these different people, and tennis is a global sport. You have this global sport meeting and coming to New York City. And then in the tournament, you have players from all over the world. You have players from different backgrounds, and for them to be brought into New York City, which is our big apple, our big melting pot, is just a way that I think puts the U.S. Open and tennis on a pinnacle, especially for this 2 weeks. To put it, it's not quite football season, it's not quite baseball season yet, and there's this certain time right now where tennis can really shine, and I think the U.S. Open right now, and the things, obviously we have Serena out here in the finals competing against Naomi Osaka today. And I think this is something that, anyone I think that's going to tune is going to see a great match, but you're also going to see two great women who've fought through amazing adversities, overcome many things, and I'm positive that you're going to see a spectacular match today.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so, they have the TV contract with ESPN is a $825 million contract. So at some point, it'll be good to have you back on to talk about ways that minority businesses and minority sports entities can get a piece of their share. But since you brought up the Williams sisters, and we have love for the Williams sisters here on U Up Radio. Come on now, y'all got to go with me. Love tennis.
We got you.
Come on, church. So when we talk about the Williams sisters, talk about your interaction. I know that the African American tennis players get together and share war stories and talk about how difficult it can be on tour to navigate an all-white sport. Talk about what it's meant for that sport and just for the sports world, for what the Williams sisters have represented, what they've been about.
Yeah, so I mean, Venus and Serena Williams are legacies, and I actually want to just put this out there. This year is the 50th anniversary of Arthur Ashe winning the U.S. Open. So I just really,
yeah. And where
I just want to.
And where are they playing at?
The U.S. Open is in New York City.
And it's at the Arthur Ashe.
Oh, exactly. Yes, at the Arthur Ashe USTA National Tennis Center. And talking about history, talking about legacy, I just feel that I had to mention a great man who did so much for us on the tennis court, but also in civil rights and for equality. So I had to throw that in there. But Serena and Venus, same thing, making history, breaking ground. I think it's interesting how the fact that you're starting to see more young people of color. You have Sloane Stephens, who won the U.S. Open last year. You have Madison Keys, who's of color, who also was a finalist last year, semifinalist this year. You have all of these people who've been inspired by the Williams story, their struggle, how they've overcome and just really been champions on and off the court. They've done many great things for the community in Compton. They grew up in Compton, California. They've donated back to their community there. They've done things all across the country and across the world. Obviously, both of them are moguls as far as with their sponsorships and business. So showing young people how you can make smart business decisions, how you can be classy on the court, off the court. How they're great family people as well. You don't see them in trouble with the law or anything like that, right? So they're great role models on the court, off the court, in the business world. And as far as I think it's interesting. I was reading Naomi Osaka, who's in the finals today against Serena, and she was mentioning that when she was 1 year old is when Serena Williams won her first U.S. Open. And with that, obviously Naomi's biggest hero growing up was Serena Williams, you know? So I think that just tells you the legacy that Serena has, and the longevity she has to even be able to play someone that was one year old when she won her first Grand Slam. So I think, you know, Venus and Serena have really been groundbreaking and have led us in the tennis world, but even in the sports world in general. I mean, I think Serena is one of the best sports figures, arguably, of all time, honestly. So
yeah. Andrew, can I ask a question? This is big
Yes.
free. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Because you mentioned, and this goes kind of what you mentioned, how Serena and Venus and Serena have given back. Do you think that the USTA, because you know I coach tennis as well,
Right.
and I have no minorities. Well, two, but we won't get into that. But do you think like USTA and those entities should do more? Because I know they do a lot of clinics at certain places in tournament, but do you think they should do more to try to get minorities in the game, or they could do more, or do you feel like the athletes should try to do more? Like, because coaching high school,
Right.
rarely see a lot of minorities still out there. And I've coached women and men's, and I just wonder, like, where should a concentrated effort come from? Could it be done more with USTA, with both athletes? What do you feel could be done to kind of just enhance the game? Because it's a great game, and you can play it forever if you really,
Your entire
you know
life.
what I mean? Yeah. Talk to me about that.
So yeah, I definitely think it's on, I think, both parties, players as well as the USTA. The USTA does have some great programs as far as getting clinics and some beginners in. But I also think fostering, this is just a suggestion to the USTA, but I think if they could foster and help more players along the line, whether it's feeding into college or whether it's feeding on the starting ranks of professional tennis, I think that would lead to seeing more people of color able to break through. And then I think with that those players would also, because they're willing to reach out and help more people bring each other up. But it's definitely on both parties. So the USTA providing their resources that they have, and players also, finding time to pull people up with them as well. Yes.
True.
And I had a question too, Carter. One of the things that I think about, we saw that, the two highest profile players in the U.S. arguably, I guess, would be Venus and Serena, and they wound up meeting in the third round. As a producer, if I was at ESPN, I would want to work with ATP and the U.S. Open organization to kind of get rid of the draw and allow us to kind of see them, because here's the thing, as great as the contest is going to be today, what it would do for revenue for the Tennis Association as well as the U.S. Open to have Venus and Serena, which arguably could have happened, right? Have them in the championship, and the same thing on the men's side, to have the most compelling, if it's Federer and Nadal, or to have finals. I'd much rather have them. Where do you fall in that as a player and as someone immersed in that world? Is that something that you would want to see, where you just remove the draw and look at it, where we can really just make sure that we, like we do in the NCAA basketball tournament, where we make sure that we can put people in different regions to make sure we don't get that too early of a match for our payday?
Right. So with that, it's one of the tough things about tennis, for tournament organizers, for players, for everyone that's involved, because the rankings and the seedings are based upon your yearly results, and they're supposed to be, after the seedings, they're supposed to be randomly done. And you can argue sometimes, if it's random or if they're trying to do something one way or not, that's, you can't really decide that. But as far as the seedings go, it like for this instance, Serena, I think, was seeded maybe 19th, 17th or something, because she hasn't been playing. even though she's clearly, one of the favorites to win the tournament, she faced Venus early because their seedings were paired. They were both ranked low. But on the reverse